Hello, welcome to a new episode of this series that we're doing, of this amazing asset browser that we're building from scratch. All right, I am coming back from holiday. I took a few weeks off just to get a little bit of rest. Hopefully you guys did the same, or catch up on the project if you are doing along with me. So what we're going to do today is we're going to concentrate now in making the what I'm calling the mixed asset item, which is going to be this guy here. You can see I have this fancy new representation of the asset here. Has this little checkbox or check mark here that was going to be used for if we have downloaded this one or not. We have this really nice hover highlight on the edge. You can make this any color you want. You have the color, the label here in the middle of the image. I think it just looks a little bit nicer. I'm gonna try to make this look really slick, really nice looking. So that's why I'm going for this. I really like the design. I mean, it's based a lot on the on how these images look on the website. So a little bit was taken from there, a little bit from over there, other places or ideas. But yeah, that is something that I wanted to do. Let me see. I wanted to show. Let's see if this thing opens. Let me open something here. I don't want to do that. Pixel Bridge. I just want to, let me go. I'm just looking at the Quixel website. I was looking at this and during the holiday, planning what I was going to do for this, and you can see I took inspiration a little bit from this kind of assets, how they show the assets here. The other thing I really like, let's see if we go to the free ones. You can see that there has like a free thing here. We kind of have something similar, but there is a side panel. I don't know why. Maybe I have to sign in. Let me sign in. Give me a second. I don't even remember how to sign into this thing. Okay, that was simple. All right, so when you click on this, I don't know why it's not showing it. Where this thing's supposed to be on the side panel. I want to do a side panel similar to this, put it on the side, and then have the resolution there. Everything we have on the Polyhaven side, Polyhaven side here. You can see if we go here, one of these details and this little previews here at the bottom, maybe even this 3D. We'll see if we can embed this 3D viewer. I don't want to redo this, but maybe we can redo it. I don't know. Doesn't seem that hard to do. And all those labels and stuff, I want to add them to that part of the side panel. I'm gonna make a little side panel here. It's gonna be hideable, just like this. That we did this hideable. So when you click on this, instead of just going and downloading it automatically, it's gonna open that, and you're gonna see the details there, properties, all these resolution stuff is gonna be there. I think it's gonna be a little more organized if we do it that way, and we're gonna have all those stuff. Well, okay, but today we're gonna work on making this little nice asset, which is actually a custom widget that we are creating here for what we need in this case. And it's pretty cool because you're gonna learn how to make custom widgets, and it's actually pretty simple, but it takes a little bit of knowing how to do it. Okay, so let's start doing that. All right, let's go. Let me as always change this thing to the current version of the browser that we are developing together. And as always, if you guys want to get the code for this is on my Patreon. Got mix training, Patreon mix training, and you can get the code from the current lesson that we are on. Right. All right. So you can see it looks a lot different, right? It's just this is the basic or the default Q tool button. If you want to get stick to this is fine, but I wanted to have like different tool buttons, a different look of this. I just wanted to make it look a little bit more customized and stuff. So that's why I'm doing that. Again, if you just want to stick to this, you're welcome, and you can continue with the asset browser. But now that it's a little bit useful, we can already assign these guys. I wanted to add a little bit of flair and make it look a little bit better, not just stick to the default widget and stuff, right? All right, so let's go to our code, this is our current code from last week. Again, you can get the current code, and all previous versions of the code on Patreon. All right, so we are going to do a few things. As I mentioned, this is going to be a custom widget, so we're going to actually create that, which is going to be several parts. Okay, so we're going to create a new class. I'm going to create this class. Let's go up here, right up before the browser here. I'm going to create a new class. I'm going to call it mixed asset item. All right, this is going to be a mixed asset item. Let's get another. And this is going to be the one that's going to contain everything here. So it's going to receive a thumbnail size and a label. That's going to be for the size of the asset, and then the label is going to be this label here, right? We're also going to format this label better because you can see now we have underscores and stuff like that. So I'm going to change that a little bit, and then here we're going to set the minimum size of this to the thumbnail size there that we're receiving. Also, this thumbnail size, you can see if we go where we're setting that here, that is not the way I want to do that anymore. So we're gonna actually make this a queue size instead of just one value here. So let's do that first here and make it a property of our class here. Self thumbnail, same name, but this is gonna be now a queue size. Sorry, queue size of 260. Since we're not gonna have the bottom text now, we can do it the actual aspect of the image, which is 260 by 200. And let's just import this method there. What is this? This class? This class, yeah, this class. So we have that, and now you can see we have issues here because this is no longer one value, and we were passing a queue size here, or it needs a queue size here. So we just say self that thumbnail, because that is what we already did. Instead of typing all that stuff, we could just do it like that. So that's good. That should work. And then here it's self thumbnail size. This is just one. Again, the height here. So let's get the queue size has a height parameter. That, so we can get that. This is the same here. Replacing that with a height, and that should be all the places we're using that. Let's try running it. Okay, so there's another in line 142. 142 here. What? We did something wrong. Thumbnail size. Thumb size. Did I make this thumbnail? Yeah. Wrong name. You guys should have told me that I'm named that incorrectly. There we go. Thumb size. That's there we go. Now it works. So you can see that the text is there at the bottom a little bit. You can kind of see it, but we don't need it anymore. So we're not gonna use it like that. So also here on the button here, we're gonna change the style of this. Instead of button text under icon, we're gonna change this to button icon only. So we only want the icon now. So we're gonna add our own label, and now we have this. So it's getting there, right? It's kind of getting there. It has the properties that we want. It doesn't have, but we need the label and the little checkbox that we, checkbox, the check mark that we added on the corner. So let's add that, and for that we're gonna create a few things here. We are not using this asset item that we created. So what we're gonna do is this button that we have here, we're actually gonna move this part to over here to this button, to this asset item. It's not gonna be this is a widget, so it can contain any other widgets. That's the beautiful part about this. You can just put any widget inside of this. Okay, so let's see. We're gonna set the main button image is gonna be there. Main button image is gonna be basically the same thing that we have before. It's gonna be a button here, Q tool, Qt widgets, Q tool button. So that's gonna be, but actually we're gonna modify this actually Q button as well, so we are able to have the so the button receives hover events, and we can trigger the hiding and showing of the label that we have here. So we're gonna do that in a second, but let's continue with this for now. Or should I do it right now? Let's just do it right now. It's a simple class, and I'm gonna do it here. So we're gonna basically do another class. It's gonna call mix button, and this is gonna be based on this Q toolbar button. Q tool button, and so we're basically gonna extend this, and then we're gonna add a few things, not much. So this is gonna have a mouse hover signal that we're creating our own signal. You remember that we've used this. Sorry, let me just finish this so I can explain it to you. This is gonna be a signal, and it's gonna send a bool value, a boolean. It's gonna be true or false. You see that we used signals before when we connected the button actually. So you can see here when we are connecting this button, this clicked is a signal. So when you click it, it emits a signal basically, right? It's like it's sending something, an event, right? It's called signals in PySide. So this event signal, it's when it's clicked, it does this. So we're actually creating our own signal here in this button. It's gonna be called mouse hover, and it's gonna emit something when that happens, right? So just so we don't spend all day here with that class, I'm just gonna copy it here, and I'm gonna explain what's happening here. So we initialize this, just calling the pairing initialization. We set the mouse tracking to true, so we have the detection of the mouse when it's over the widget, and then we have an enter event and a leave event, and this event is when it's gonna have the result of that, or what's gonna hold the actual event of that's happening over the button there. So when you enter, it's gonna go to cell hover, and it's gonna emit a true value, right? It's gonna tell this guy send a true value. So it's basically saying when you enter, it says true, and then when you leave, it's false. That's all it is. I mean, we're just extending this Qtool button a little bit. It's just not really complex. We're just adding a little bit of events on it for hovering over that. So now that we have this class here, which extends the Qtoolbar button, we want to use that instead of this one. Okay. So now we're going to use that one. Okay. We're getting into deep stuff here. So We're gonna do that, and then we need actually a parent for this. Okay, you can see I actually declared that this needs a parent. So now we're actually gonna set a parent, and we want that because we're gonna set the parent to this widget. So let's just tell it to be this widget to be its parent. That is important for this widget to be added to these. So this widget that we created to be added to the main widget here, the item. Okay, so this is important. Don't forget this self. In this case, it's important. All right, so now that we have that, we're gonna basically do the same thing we did here. All these lines here, just gonna actually copy those and put them on in here, which is gonna be within the same. Just gonna put the self part of the name there, and then Tom size is not really self. That's not, well, we could just do that here, make it inside, but we're not gonna do much here. But we could just do Tom size equal to this self Tom size is equal to that. But I will do that if this class starts getting a lot more functions and stuff. But for now, I don't think we need it. But if we need it later, we can just make a local member here of that, and then we just call it from memory where we need it. So now that we have that, we should have something, and we should actually want to test this. So we have this mixed asset item. We're not using it yet, so let's go use it. So instead of using this guy here, we're gonna just use that, and we can just say mix asset item. There we go. Let's not do this part there because we're already doing that inside the object. So let's just remove that. And actually, we're not gonna set any text here, so let's remove that. And here, this guy is gonna need a Tom size and a label. So let's give it those attributes. For now, let's just pass. We have that already. For now, for the label, let's just say hello. It's not gonna do anything, but it just needs it because it needs it to on the function. It needs that parameter. Okay, so let's just try that. Okay, so it's an error because this asset is no longer a button directly, so it's a widget, so it doesn't have a click button. So let's a click event. So let's just comment that for now and run this again. All right, cool. You can see that is actually working. It's also saying that it couldn't set the icon, but that's fine. We're gonna fix that. But you can see this is already our button, our custom widget. It's still not complete, but it is using it, our button. We're gonna populate this with whatever we want. So that's actually, if you think about this is pretty exciting because we are creating a widget not from scratch, but from other widgets, mixing other widgets. But you could create a widget from scratch. Just draw whatever you want inside of that widget, and you can get more in depth on this. Maybe we will get into that, but I'm not sure yet. But for now, we're gonna continue doing this really nice widget. So let's start filling this widget with more things. So when you have that, we need to add the little corner button. It's a button. I want to use that button maybe for re-downloading or downloading the actual asset later. So I made it a button just in case we need to use it for something. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this so I don't have to. Again, I'm trying to make these videos as shorter as possible. I'm creating a corner button, which is just a button with an X. And then we have a create button here, function that's going to add an icon later. Let's just comment that for now. Now I want to move that. Button to a place, but let's just run it like this for now. So let me do that. And you can see there's the button right there. Okay. That's what we just added, this X button there. So what's happening again, we create a button, and you can see now I'm passing a letter, just an X for the text, but I'm also passing the self. And this is, again, really important for this to show when we add this widget. If we don't add this self, this thing is not going to show. It's just, it doesn't belong to this. So it doesn't have a parent. So it's really important that we add this to the parent here. So it actually shows the button. You can see if I remove the parent from this mix button, actually gonna fail because it needs the parent, because we are telling it here, we actually need a parent to initialize this. It's not optional. It is required. So that is what's happening there. And it's really important that you have in these widgets the self as the parent. Okay. So now after that, I want this label, this button to be on this corner, not on that corner. So for now, I'm just gonna hard code this, parameters. But later we're going to control programmatically how the size of this, not the size is going to be 50, but where this is going to be moving to. It's going to be going to have to be like calculated, because if we pass a bigger thumbnail size, this is going to not be in the correct position. So yeah, now you can see it's there, the little corner there, and the size is 50 by 50, and it's in the little corner there. And I still can click it. You can see it's a button here and it's a button here. So we have two buttons there, right? So that's pretty cool. Now let's add the labels. We're just adding the little parts here. Label for asset name here, and then again, this is really simple stuff, and the reason I'm just copying this from the code that I just did, because this is things that we already did. We already did this stuff, so we already did all this stuff. So I'm just showing you how I'm putting this together, but I'm trying to concentrate on the most important parts that we haven't done. So now I am adding a label, and again, I'm calling it with a default text, but again, we're making this widget the parent, the self. So now we can see we have that again. It's in the wrong position. It doesn't supposed to be there. So we can again just use the move. We can use the move function of the widget to put it whatever, because this is not on a layout. It's just relative to absolute, so we can put it in whatever we want right now. And again, this value that is going up and down, that should change to some value when we calculate it from the thumbnail size, which we're gonna do later. For now, it's gonna be that. All right, so we are going to, the most important part here is you can see the label, it's always there, right? But we don't want the label to be always there. We want the label to be only when I put my mouse over it, and disappear when I hover out of the button. So we have a custom, this button has a custom signal that we can use, and then we're going to use it. So self.button has mouse hover. You can see it even shows there. It comes from this class, a mouse hover. And let's connect that. And we're going to actually call, since this returns an attribute, a value, returns a Boolean value. See, it returns a Boolean value here. Then we can actually call that directly to the label. The label has a set visible property, which is just 0 or 1. So we can call that directly actually. So self dot name label. Sorry. Name label that set visible. You can see it's here set visible. That is a property that we can set. And we are going to call that directly with this. So we're also going to connect this hover to the visibility of the label. So for that also, if we run it now, it's going to be weird because the label shows, but it's going to disappear when I go out, then go function. So we don't want to show the label by default. So let's hide it first here. we can just do it the same way. Let's say name that height. That's a height function. So you can see now by default they are hidden. When I put my mouse over it, it shows the label, and then when I go out, it disappears. So that's pretty cool. That's exactly what I want. Awesome. All right, we are good. We have all the widgets that we want to have there. Now let's make them look better. There's also a few issues. You can see if I hover over the text, I'm not hovering on top of this button now. So we're going to set some property for that as well. If I go over this, we are not hovering over that button because this is covering the mouse basically. So we're going to fix that. We're going to have to get some decisions if we want actually this one to be not covered by this, but we're not going to be able to click it. I don't know. We'll see later what we're going to do for that. But so let's fix first the image that we don't have an image here. It says an error is being thrown out that doesn't have an icon, and that's a set icon function. And that's actually right because again, we are passing, let's go to the code. We're passing here. Remember when we set the image downloader, we're passing the button here, which is no longer just a button, it's a widget. Then we're trying to set to that button, we're trying to set the icon, which doesn't work that way because it's not an icon, a button directly anymore, right? So what we need to do is a way to set that image. And what I want to do, just show you guys that we can, guys and girls, we can have an actual function to do that. So let's create our own function to set the image of this button. Set image, and this is gonna take an image. And then this image is this function is gonna go to the button and set the icon. And it's gonna set the image like that. That's all we need. Just, well, we're creating a new function for the widget that sets the image of the button, right? Because the button is inside the widget. So now here, instead of setting this icon like that, what we need to do is just call that function. Okay. So instead of doing this set icon, I'm just going to copy so you can see the difference. We're going to call set. Let's see if this actually shows the set image. Doesn't show that is part of that, but set image like that. So now we are calling that function and it should set the icon. And if we refresh this, there we go. Now we have icons and you can see the name is on top of that. And we have the little thing over here and it's looking pretty cool. Yep. All right, so you can see in these images here that have a really clear background, we can't see the name exactly. So we're going to fix that with adding a background to the name. So there's a few things we need to do here. Yeah, pretty cool. Look at that. Pretty cool. All right, so a few things. Let's go to the I want to fix let's go for the label part first. Okay, so let's go to that. And we're gonna do something cool for the label. We're gonna use a custom font. And here in let me open here in the project. I have a in the assets. Let me open the assets. I have a custom font here, Open Sans Condense, which is actually the same font that they use in the website for the names. So I like it because it's really condensed and it's really bold. And so we have this button. This font, it's free. You can download it for Google Fonts if you want, but it's also in the assets that I'm gonna be distributing. But if you don't want to use that font, you can use any other font you want. I'm just gonna use this one for now. So this is on the assets folder. So what we're gonna do is just add this into the project. So let's create a font path. Font path is gonna be, so the asset is here in the assets. So we could use the work path here, plus the assets and that. So that will be the way to do it. Something like this. Let me just copy this part. Work path plus something like this. Assets, open, condense, font, bold, etc. Now, to actually add this to be useful in the project here, we need to I'm not going to use this, so I'm just going to call underscore ID. It's just a holding like a holding variable for that, and we're gonna use the Q font database here. So this is gonna allow us to add an application font here. You can see, so we can actually have that, and then we're gonna just say font path, and this is gonna actually add the font to the application. And just to check, let's just print ID. Let's print that ID. That ID should not be -1. If it's -1, this loading failed. So let's try that. Reload, and you can see I have ID 224, so that actually worked. So that's great. And then if you're not sure how this font is going to be called, in my case, you can see if I open this font again, I'm not sure if I open, stop. You can see the name is actually all this: open, space, sans, space, condense, with all the uppercase and lowercase letters that you have there. So you have to name it like that exactly when you call it in the application. But if you don't know exactly what name it got you can use this little line here. You can use this line, font database application font families, and then print this ID, and it's gonna tell you the exact name. If I refresh, see, there it is: open, sans, condense. Exactly like that is how you should use it. So now let's use it for the label, and it's gonna be, let me do that. So now we have that loaded. So let's go to the label here. And the label, we can set a style sheet. So let's go here before we do all the stuff. Self dot name label dot set style sheet. See, we have, it's basically it's called QSS, but it's basically CSS. If you ever use CSS, it's the same thing, but for Qt. And then you wrap that in quotes, and then in this case we're gonna make this for specifically for the Q label widget, Q label type. So it's not it's knows exactly what to style. And the font family property, it's gonna be open, sans, condense. Like that. That's how you do that. Let's close the Wix quickly bracket there and restart. And yeah, it's working. You can see the name is different now. It's that font now. It's using that font. So that's pretty cool. So we're gonna add a little bit more on this thing. Let me just copy this so you don't have to be. So I added a few things. The name. And you have to put a semicolon there to have at the next property. In this case, it's font size at 14 points. And then I'm adding the color to white. Then I'm adding a background color of black. This is black. And then this is RGB. If you never use hexadecimal colors, you should read on that. It's basically CSS style. And then these two guys are the alpha. So I'm making it a little bit transparent there. So if we refresh that, you can see now the name is bigger and it has this black color there, which is really nice. Look at that. So we should actually pass the actual name over here. because we do have the name. Instead of this, we just pass the key as we were doing before here. The key is the name. So let's just pass that, and we should have that, but we are not using it. So let's go and apply that. This label is being passed as the key is being passed here as the label. So let's just, instead of this asset name, use the label. Wrong thing. Label. So we have the label there. You can see now it's bigger and it's all using the new font and all that stuff. So but you could see that this thing is happening. It's disappearing when I go over the letters. So let's fix that as well just before we move on to that. And there's an attribute that we can set for any widget really, and it's called basically transparent to mouse events. So name label that set attribute qt that dot wa. You see it is there, transparent for mouse events. So that's the one we want. That's basically going to mean that the mouse is going to be on top of it and it's going to really ignore it. You can see now it's not happening. It's not even, you can't even select the text or anything. It's just ignoring it completely. I want to format that text a little bit because I want it to be in caps and I don't want this underscore labels there. You can do anything you want with that. In my case, I want to format it a little bit, and I'm going to do it here because I want to set the tooltip as well for that. So I'm going to create an asset name, asset name variable here, and it's going to be that label. I'm just going to replace the underscores with spaces. Replace the underscore with spaces. That's pretty simple stuff. If I do that now and use asset name here, and then I make that uppercase by calling this string function to upper, we have this. Look at that. I like that a lot. That's pretty cool. I like that. Even though it doesn't fit sometimes, I like that better. But since it doesn't fit sometimes, we're gonna add a tooltip for that as well. So let's go here, set self. I'm gonna add this for the whole button. So self set tooltip, and this is gonna be the asset name. Just this. So if we do that again, you can see now, there it is. You have a tooltip there. It pops up after a few seconds and shows you the whole name. So if you feel like that is missing, you can just do that. All right, so let's see what else is it missing here. It's missing this little icon that we're gonna add here. We're gonna add our custom icon here in this X button there. So we're gonna create another function. Let me just copy this function and I'm gonna explain it. So I'm gonna put it up here so we can add this. We can use this function everywhere that we want to add an icon to somewhere in this app. It's basically, it's gonna be create an icon. You're gonna send a name of the icon and a size, and then the size is just, it makes sure it's an integer, just round it off. And it's trying to get this function creates an icon in Houdini. This is a Houdini function that creates a Qt icon. Takes the icon and the size properties there. If it doesn't find this icon, basically if this fails, just creates a default icon, which is just this name. And you're gonna see what that is actually. So let's add the icon for that. Which is really, really simple actually. Here, go to the X button. Where's the X button? Here. So here, I'm gonna uncomment this line. So it's saying set the icon to this function that I created, and create this a button with this icon. And this icon is actually a Houdini icon. You can see if I refresh this, now you can have, I have this little checkbox here, check mark. And where did I get that from? So if you get to any of these tools here, you can just right click on anyone, just click edit. It's gonna pop this window, and you can click this icon here, and in a second, yeah, here it is. It's gonna pop the Houdini icons here. You can even add this little bear that if you want. This is all the Houdini icons here. You can add any icon. You can see if you want to add that X, that little anything. The only thing you need to do is, let's say, have here a few buttons here. Is there another one? Let's put this one. You just need to copy this name here. Just no extension. Just copy the name, and then put it on your code, and that's gonna create that button for you. That's pretty cool. You can use any icon. You can see there it is. So you can grab any icon from Houdini and put it here. You can also add your own icon if you want to, but there's so much icons in Houdini. You can just grab those, and you can grab them at any size. In my case, I'm grabbing it at 50, but those are SVG files, so you can grab it at any size that you want, and it's gonna be crystal clear. All right, so I don't like the background. We can remove the background actually, so we can set a property for the icon here for this guy, and that is really just a property. Corner set property, and then property is called transparent, just like that, transparent, and set that to true. This should be a comma. Set that to true, and then we can refresh, and now you can see it doesn't have a background. There it is. Really nice. Let me return that to the icon that I wanted. I also grab a few other icons. You can see, I can show you the ones that I'm using. Just use any of these tools. Or that I'm gonna be using are from Tops. Let's go to RST Tops status. Here, I'm gonna use this, maybe this, and then this, or maybe this one. I don't know, but I grab the names of these ones and just keep them on the file just for later. But you can see you can use any icons here that you want. And there's a lot of icons. I always use the icons here from Houdini. There's really, you can see a lot of things really useful. Some icons here, I don't even think they are using the Houdini interface, or I've never seen them. There's even a banana there. So a sheath, you can use the sheath if you want as well. Anything that you, okay, like just assign that to my tool there. It's fine, let's assign it. But you can do that in your code as well. Let's just do that. And you can see you have that cheese there. Cool. I have some cheese. All right, so we have that transparent. The only other thing is I want to change the highlight color of these buttons here. So I like my highlight to be a little bit different. So let's to match my style. So let's go to the button here, the corner button. This is this button here. I'm gonna set the style of this to Q2 toolbar. The background is gonna be this color, which is just a gray color, and then in this line, we're setting the hover color or properties. When you hover over this, you can see this colon hover means when you hover over this, change these properties or set these properties. And what I'm setting is the background is the same color, and there's a border that is solid, and it's cyan color. So that's basically what I'm doing here. And when you refresh this is what happens. You can see it has that really nice highlight there. If you want to use the default, you just leave it as the default. I like this, so I want to make it match my team. So there you go. But now you can see if I click on these guys, they are not working. Actually, we've broke the clicking on this. So let's fix the clicking on this. And remember that we actually went here and commented this because we couldn't connect this function. So can we connect it now? Not really. So it doesn't have that click because this button which we are creating here is not really a button here. So we could actually just rename this to maybe asset. Should I rename this? Let me see if I'm gonna break anything else over here. Be careful with some editors in Python when you rename. I'm gonna try to refactor this, rename it to asset. But that didn't do anything. String rename code occurrences. Yes. Let's call this asset, not in caps. Nope. I made completely the wrong thing there. Refactor, rename, code occurrences, asset. Hopefully that doesn't break stuff. So this is an asset here. So this asset now inside has the button. So we have to do dot, and then you can see the button is there. So now we can do button. Now that connected to the click. So that actually should work. And there it is, it works. And now if we click on this guy, yep, it says something. Now there's another error here because it's saying it align 400. So what's happening at 400? Let's go to 400. Actually, 400 is not. It's failing at for line 240. 240 here. It's failing basically here in this name because the sender here, when we connected this to the function, the sender now is not actually the it's not actually the widget who's sending this is this button here, right? And then the object name that we actually were setting here, we're setting it to the main widget that contains the button. But this button is what is sending this signal to here. So the sender is the button that is inside the asset item. So the only thing we need to do here is say parent. So since the sender is the button and the parent is the asset, so we're getting the object name from that. That's basically all there is there. Now this should work. And first it's going to say select the light. Okay, let me select the light and click. And there you go. It works. It works as before. But we now have a fancier little what is it? A new widget that we just created from scratch, which is actually really nice. I really like this. It's looking pretty cool. I like the other one as well, but I think this looks pretty nice. If we make the assets bigger, here, it's gonna, let's add 300 to 100 to this. Let's see if I add 100, 300 by, and it's gonna, the button on the corner is gonna fail, right? This is what I mentioned. This is failing. And it seems like the actual height is not correct. We have in some little buffer there on the top. So we're gonna have to get that correctly, but you can see we can change all that. Also, this is what I mentioned. We also need to fix this to make it to kind of align with this little line here. So there's a little things that we need to polish. For now, we're not gonna polish. We don't need to worry about polishing this right now. It looks pretty cool. We can polish that later. But it's looking quite nice. I like it. I'm really enjoying how it looks. And we have created a really good widget for our own widget with its own functionality, and it's gonna be doing exactly what we need it to do. So that's great. And you learn about setting styles on top of creating your own widgets, adding your own events. So basically enhancing existing widgets to add more functionality, and creating a widget that has extra functionality that is not existent in one widget. So you could use this widget now, put this widget in its own class and just use it in any other project that you want. So that's just like the other widgets that you use here, like the Q button and stuff like that. So great. You also learn how to reuse or use the Houdini icons to set them on any part of these widgets. You can set these icons in any part of the widgets that can accept an image, right? Let me just give a little check here to see if I just cover everything I needed to cover, but seems like it is. Again, you guys can have this code from my Patreon page. If you don't want to pay anything, just do what we're doing here. Just go through this, type it yourself, and you save yourself some money. All right. Hopefully this is helping you learn a little bit more Python, creating interfaces, and all that stuff. Wish you the best, and I will see you in the next lesson. All right. Thank you.